Hello, Ben Simmons. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Lincolnshire New Folk Movement.
Thank you
Um,
for having
you're very welcome. Yeah, well, I asked, sort of talking to Ben, doing these, and obviously tried to find people to talk to and talk about what they're doing. And I know Ben because we did a gig at I've forgotten the name of where it was.
the brewer, Jolly Brewer.
The Jolly Brewer, yeah. So we did a gig at the Jolly Brewer. I was really really impressed, and the songs that Ben plays really connect. There was a lot of love there in the audience for Ben, and I thought it'd be really good to talk to him as well because he's got some big news coming up this year. So just to start off with, then Ben, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your background, blah blah blah.
Yeah, awesome. I am a 24-year-old singer-songwriter, originally from Hertfordshire, down south. I moved up here when I graduated university. I studied drama, and before that, I went to college to do performing arts, and that's kind of where the music started to come in. It started to creep in with acting and dancing and all that stuff. I did like stage school and everything like that. So that's where it came from. When I was little, I got given my first guitar by my granddad. So he's my biggest inspiration when it comes to music. And then I formed a duo in college and stuff, which is where the folk side came from. And then when I hit uni, almost like the soul side came out. So I wrote my first EP in my halls at uni. And then when I graduated, I moved up here and I recorded Light and Shade, which is the first EP. And then it just kind of grew from there, really. So a lot of drama-y, artsy kind of background, which is quite nice.
Do you still do any of the artsy drama sort of stuff? Do you like do any drama or anything like that?
No, not anymore. I am not sure really why. I think uni killed it for me a little bit. It was a big contrast in terms of studying at college, which isn't a bad thing at all. But it was very academic. You know, I coming from like a 90% practical background straight into a 60-40 kind of academic background, which is fine because it's more, you know, it's versatile. And it kind of tested my experiences and what I could do as a performer and stuff. But I think after 3 years of studying it, it kind of just it tired me out a little bit. That's why I never studied music at school. I didn't even do drama at school because at the time, A, it wasn't really my thing because it didn't really develop, and B, I didn't really think that studying something I loved could really bring out the passion. If I self-taught myself, I think, or started off by self-teaching myself, I could explore it at my own pace. And that's what I kind of did. And I think I found the love for it that way instead.
I think that's really interesting because I've spoken to some other people, you know, in the past about different things. Because I did a long time ago a sound engineering course, sound engineering, and it was really really good, and I really enjoyed it. But I did find that after being so immersed in listening to music in a different way, and then kind of how you pull it all to pieces, and you can see all the constituent parts, and you think, oh, that's really good. I understand all that, but somehow you do lose a little bit of a sense of the whole, I think. And so I think there's definitely space there for both, because I think those people who study it and they can bring it all back together, they're the people you kind of go, oh, right, okay, yeah, there's an intellectual as well as an emotional process going on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for me, I personally, I'm similar. I'm sort of self-taught in terms of music and that, and it. I think that does allow you to then express in your own way. And because I was listening to your songs this morning, again, refreshing, preparing myself for my big interview. And I did think, there's a lot of honesty and sincerity, and there's a real voice there that you have that you bring through. So, so in relation to that, where did that come about from? What are those sort of influences and styles that kind of what is it that makes up the Ben Simmons sound?
Yeah, it's a bit of everything really. Like I said, my granddad was my biggest inspiration. It's funny, I grew up with a lot of musical influences as well. They didn't necessarily inspire me now, but I grew up with listening to the Eagles, Genesis, and Phil Collins and all that stuff. I think Phil Collins as an artist is he's written hundreds and hundreds of songs about absolutely everything. So maybe that's where it comes from, with picking from a lot of different subjects and like kind of throwing them into a song and stuff. But recent influences, my all-time favorite artist is John Mayer, with his kind of blues and his soul and his playing as well. It's very unique and it's incredible. My all-time favorite band is a band called Kaleo. They're from Iceland and they're very blues rock. Pretty good if you want to check them out. They're fantastic. Yeah, no, they're amazing. And I'd say probably going back from my folk background, of course, modern folk. When I started out playing guitar, Ed Sheeran, of course, everyone else's favorite singer-songwriter and everything. Charlie Simpson from Busted, his solo stuff. Ben Howard from, the pure folk side. Yeah. So that all kind of came together at the same time. And then, writing-wise, I think, other artists such as like Dermot Kennedy, for example, his writing and his lyricism is absolutely stunning. It's almost poetic in a way. I'm a metaphor kind of guy. I love metaphors and I throw so many of them into songs because I think that's the way I express. I think it's a lovely way to write as well. There's a load of different things that I've just kind of taken along the way and just kind of thrown in, and that's who I am and who I write and how I play and stuff. So
I think as you're talking through those, with the exception of the Icelandic band, because I haven't heard of them, but I can really hear all those influences, like I think some of the structure and stuff for your songs, and perhaps the lilt maybe sort of. I can really hear the Eagles and that kind of stuff in there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now you've said it, I can I can hear that. Yeah. So that's really good. So how do you go about like songwriting? Because I know different people have different methods, don't they? Like, is it the lyrics that come with it, or is it just a general concept, or is it a little lick on the guitar? Where does it start, and how do you grow it?
So I start with a melody. It's funny you should say that because everyone does write differently, and it's fascinating. When I have these conversations with loads of different people, I love how they kind of start with the lyrics and then a melody or a lick on the guitar, like you said. But yeah, personally, I'll start with a melody. I'm currently writing one at the minute, and I started with a melody. And it's funny, a lot of stuff comes to me in the shower. When people say shower thoughts, that it's 100% true. That is completely true. It's so funny because as soon as I get this idea, I have to literally just run straight to the nearest book and jot it down. Otherwise, I'll just forget it. It's slow most of the time. I can write a song, but it takes me a month or two. I always say to myself, and I always discuss it with people when the writing process and how I do it. A lot of people that I know that can write, 10 to 20 songs in a month. And I can only do probably one or two at best. If I'm really kind of engaged in it, or if I think it's going to be good enough to record. I can probably write a bit more, but maybe choose one, if that at all, to kind of just think, right, that is the one that's going to be brilliant. Yeah. But I think, half the time I don't really think about it. I just kind of write what I feel. And if it's good enough, I will naturally keep going with it.
Do you have just one that you're working on, or do you like have a few kind of like, and then obviously sort of like,
Yeah, exactly. So last year, for as a prime example, of course, with the first lockdown, there wasn't much to do. So I did sit in my room a lot of the time doing, writing and trying to write. And I was writing 3 songs on the go at the time. And I kind of surprised myself because that's not how I really do it. And I think I opened myself up to like this opportunity. And I was like, I really like this. I've got to keep going. I think at best, I've probably had 3 songs at once to go. They're going to be on the new record as well. But at the minute it's just one song. It was just something that I thought of last week, and it's funny because the way I write, of course, I said about metaphors and things. Sometimes it's really tricky to choose what I want to write about. I don't want to be stereotypical and do another kind of relationship kind of song, but then I end up doing a relationship kind of song. But that's the beauty of metaphors, because there's so many opportunities you can throw loads of things in. And when you talk about things in a certain way, or in this kind of metaphoric kind of way, you can choose different things, and you've got almost infinite possibilities you can talk about. So you dive into one subject, but then there's like 500 other paths you can take by using like metaphors and things. It's great.
Yeah, it's a bit. It's more of a universal language, isn't it? Like metaphor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think I use them quite a bit. Now you've come to mention
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So go on then. Tell us what, just off the top of your head, what's your favourite metaphor from one of your songs?
So it's got to be In Light and Shade, the song Olivia, and it's one of my favorite all-time lines that I ever wrote was I'd rather be with a lion than a siren, and I don't know, it's very poetic in a way. I kind of surprised myself when I came up with that line. But the original title for Light and Shade was going to be called Lions and Sirens,
Ah,
um, because it fit all four songs at the time, including Olivia. And it only changed when my granddad actually came to visit me in the studio one day to see how everything was going, and he listened to the song Olivia whilst it was in production, and he really enjoyed it, and he said there's a lot of light and shade in there. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. So I said, what does that mean? And he explained it to me, and I said, damn, that's a really cool title, you know. And then the name switched, and it was called Light and Shade instead. So
oh, that's really nice. I like it when the actual recording process kind of helps create the name of the album.
yeah, it's funny because when I go with a decision, ultimately that is what I decide. You know, that's it, and it's set in stone and stuff. But that's one of the kind of like few times that that's ever changed, and it's nice because it's almost like a memory of my granddad at the same time. It was named after what he said,
Yeah.
which is nice. Of course, Olivia's the first track in the EP, so that kind of makes sense too. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's a really good EP.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's very, yeah, sort of a thing, isn't it, of itself? Like you say, I think there's a character to all the songs, although they're all
Yeah.
slightly different. There's definitely a character. So I'll get onto the next EP in a minute. But there was a question on Drupal. I don't know if you've ever been on Drupal. It's like a musician's, yeah, sort of social network thing. It's a bit of a weird place. But a question was asked on there: what does success mean to you, like in your music? What does success look like? And I just thought, well, that's an interesting question. I'll ask Ben.
I can think of two ways to answer it. One of them is to be able to make a living off music, and and kind of making a sustainable living from your production process, your recording, and loving that as well. But I think the other one is just plainly having a passion for it in the first place. If you're liking what you're writing, then you're already successful in that, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
it does. I think if you're proud of
yeah,
your work, yeah, if you're working, yeah,
that's it. Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you can really say at the end of the day, damn, that's a really good thing that I've just written there. I think you're more than halfway, there to kind of being successful in that kind of regard.
I
So
think I'd agree with those two benchmarks. I think that,
yeah,
yeah, I think that's a good measure of success. Yeah. Now
yeah,
the new EP then, so it's called Aligning Fires, and
yeah,
you've clearly been very excited about getting ready for it, desperate to get it out there. So tell us a little
yeah.
bit about what it's about. You know, we've talked about there'll be a story connected with this Aligning Fires. So tell us a bit about the EP.
So it came about shortly after writing the last single, which came out in 2019. So it's been in kind of my head. It's been in like a head process for about 2 years now. And we only started recording it. I think it might have been the end of 2019 actually. We recorded one song and then we just kind of kept going with it. At the time, it was funny. At the time, I had 4 songs again set in stone, and they were going to be the 4 songs that I wanted on the EP. Like that was it. And then the first lockdown occurred, and I kind of went back to the guitar, and I played these 4 songs in one after the other, and 2 of them out of the 4 felt really off. It was interesting because I'd never had this before. I never had to kind of change what I wanted about a project. It was really strange, and it was cool. It was a nice change, but it really I really had to think about it, and I was like, I don't. It's weird playing these songs live. It didn't feel comfortable to me. It wasn't because of anything in the song. It was generally because playing it felt uncomfortable. And I was like, if I can't play them live, then there's not much point in playing them at all.
Mm.
That was the mindset at the time. So I scrapped 2 of the songs, and I went back to the drawing board and with lockdown, I had some time to think about it, and I wrote 3 songs, which were the 3 I spoke about earlier, and I chose 2 of them, and then eventually I had 5 songs, and so we're going to have 5 songs in this one instead of 4. And yeah, so what I wanted to go with, I wanted a theme in this one. I really wanted to explore the depths of my songwriting and bring a theme about. So all 5 songs are connected in some way, and the title came about. It was almost about the theme of traits. Perfect imperfections. Who you are as a person, who you want to be, who you were as a person. And it's all about me, who I am up to this point, I suppose, at this point in time. And yeah, the title came about of, something, trying to control something you physically can't. It's impossible to align something of your own accord if it's, if naturally it's just, progressive in a way. It's really strange. So yeah, that's the title, Aligning Fires. And I think it's a big step up from the first EP, or from the singles as well, in terms of production value, in terms of message, in terms of songwriting, in terms of everything really, in terms of sound. It's a lot more soulful, it's a lot more hopeful, and yeah, it's something like we said about being passionate, and you kind of already being successful in being passionate about it. That's definitely there, and hopefully that can be conveyed when you listen to the full thing.
Well, you're definitely conveying it now. Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, you're already successful. That's good. We just need to get you the money now.
Totally, yeah.
You mentioned there, like, and I think I'm right when I saw you last week. You were saying that there's a producer that you work with who lives quite close to you, I think.
Yeah, so I'm producing the EP with him, Eddie, his name is, and he's got his home studio, and we're doing it there. But of course, at the minute we can't because of the ongoing situation. So I'm kind of being fidgety at the minute, and I kind of keep going back to the guitar and just like playing them and being like, damn, really want to finish this kind of thing. But yeah, so we're doing it at the minute. Like I said, it was the end of 2019 that we did this. So we've had a whole, year and a bit to kind of do this. Originally the release date was going to be late January, of course, but with the current situation, we had to push that back. So it will still hopefully be this year. I can't really give an exact date yet because it's not entirely finished. We've got, I think, 3 complete songs out of the 5. So, me being me, I had to cram one in at the last minute. That's why we've got 5. It's an interlude song. And I never thought in my life I'd write an interlude song, because they're actually, to me, they're harder to write than a full song, because I have a trouble with length of a song. And I think this one's 2.5 minutes, which can count towards an interlude. That's pretty good. It's pretty good going. But because again, like with the metaphor thing, like I cram so much in, and then it's like 6 minutes long, and I'm like, oh no, I have to condense it. So yeah, that happens a lot as well. So that took, eventually when you hear that interlude song, it took me a very long time to kind of condense everything and put it into
really good.
One that could be considered an interlude. Yeah.
So we're within sort of dragging distance of the finish of that EP then. So
essentially, I mean, I've got a few friends that are helping me out with one song, because one of them is incredibly soulful. It's the first one, and it's almost got a gospel like sound to it. So I wanted people to kind of sing in the background for me and stuff.
Oh.
And yeah, I've got friends that really want to do it. So as soon as we can get back into the studio, they can come and help me, and they'll be on the EP as well, which I think is really nice too. So they're friends that I made up here as well. So that's kind of like a little milestone to kind of remember as well, which I think is quite nice.
So place in time as well as a moment in time. Yeah,
absolutely. And then, like, in how many years' time I can look back and be like, damn, that was fun.
So that's really good. I'm really excited about that. Right, I'm really looking forward to hearing this finally. They're going to be gospel choir. So I'm just going to do a few quick fire questions then. And we'll see how we go on with that. Now, this might be a familiar question to you. Is it all right to eat pizza in the morning?
Oh, totally. Yeah, hot or cold. Preferably, I prefer cold, because most of the time when you eat pizza, it's left over from the other night. So
I just saw a meme thing on your thread about Greg's Pizza in the morning.
really,
Yeah.
God, I haven't had breakfast for a very long time. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. You can have that in the
Okay.
morning.
Shower or bath?
Mm. I will say shower, which is funny because I used to have a bath every day when I was a kid, and then I realized how much hot water I was using, so I turned to showers. Showers easier at the same time, but I would say what baths have over showers is just the relaxation, just like you time kind of thing. But I would probably ultimately still say shower.
They're
Yeah,
a luxury, aren't they, baths?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. Hard to combat.
Right, here's a simple one. Cricket.
Hmm. Cricket. Personally, never played it. Really, I used to play rounders, I suppose, when I was a kid, but that's a different thing. Yeah, not heavily into sport. I got to admit, not really into football, not really into kind of tennis. I suppose I do watch it from time to time. The only thing that I really like is swimming. I used to do that when I was a kid as well. So
Huh.
the Olympics are on. I watch that, and the Winter Olympics, great. But cricket, really, not much to say about it.
Not really into cricket. That's fine.
No,
I did threaten you with one tough question in this, and it's this one. What's your favourite finger?
Finger. Ooh. Um.
Let's have a look at them.
Really tricky one. Yeah, I'm looking at my hand and be like,
Yeah.
I want to say index finger because it's like the most common finger, I suppose. If you could call it that, I suppose. But I would say the thumb, actually.
Oh.
The thumb. Yeah. Thumb. Especially when you pick things up. I think I think that might be, that's the usefulness of the thumb. And I suppose if we're going to go really weird, it's the most unique finger in a way on the hand.
Yeah, it's controversial. Is it a finger? I think I'll let you have that. I think so.
Is it a finger or is it its own thing? Now I'm going to be like doing this all day. I'm going to be like, is my decision, or am I going to have to kind of rethink that?
Did the little finger have anywhere in the running there at all?
Are they going to be jealous now, or are we going to have a problem here, kind of thing?
I think you might. I think you might find they'll all stick together like that, and it'll just be the thumb. You'll have a claw for the rest of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be gone. Flat out. Oh dear, my relationship has been terminated with that.
Well, I'm very sorry if that happens. It wasn't really my intention to de-digitize you. I don't know if that's the thing.
No, I'm going to have to wear a glove next time, I think, so they can't hear me.
Mittens. Anyway, right. That's enough time on that question. Right, final one. Scone or scone?
Scone. Yeah.
Yes. I knew I liked you. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. There was only one right answer to that.
I was going to say, there's not much I can say about that. I think, scone.
Good. Right, well, thank you ever so much for joining me and having a chat with you. I've really, really enjoyed that. That's been absolutely lovely. Very excited to hear Aligning Fires when that's finally finished. It's really, finished, it's nice to hear someone else go through the pain of making those things, but knowing that the end is worth it. Yeah. It will be worth it, I'm sure.
Myself all this way, it's going to be worth it, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the song we are going to play.
This is the first song in my first EP. It was, I would say, probably the second favourite in terms of production that I liked doing. It was my most favourite song to write on the EP. It has a lot of meaning behind it, and I think it's got a lot of attitude, which I like in songs. Recently, I like songs with attitude, and I really hope you enjoy it. It's called Olivia.
Well, thank you very much, Ben. This is Olivia. We've put a little thing over about Aligning Fire so everybody can remember that. But you have a great day then, Ben. Thank you.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Dark eyes, tall figurine, looking at me while I'm down and out. Oh, Olivia. Red wine, a stray mind. Every time I heart I don't wanna find. Oh, Olivia. 'Cause she's all in time with the beat. Maybe I'd like to get over it by placing placing myself at your feet. No feelings has ever got in between. 'Cause I'm in love with pieces of diamonds you left behind when you saw I was crying when you somebody else. I'd rather be with a lion than a siren, but I ain't that bold now. Olivia, Olivia, sheets of gold now. Olivia, Olivia, break the mold. And I thought I got away, but she don't give up easily. Olivia, Olivia, come and get me. Sundown, block out everything that you can live without. Oh, Olivia, and just one magnet pulling me in and pushing me away. Oh, I don't want you, but I have to congratulate you from leading me astray. 'Cause there'd be no song without you. 'Cause I used to be in love with the diamonds you left behind when you saw I was crying when you somebody else. I'd rather be with a lion than a siren, but I ain't that bold, no. Olivia, Olivia, sheets of gold now. Olivia, Olivia, break the mold. And I thought I got away, but she don't give up easily. Oh, Olivia, Olivia, come and get me. One day we'll meet the survivors. One day we'll meet the survivors of love. One day we'll meet the survivors. One day we'll meet the survivors of love. One day we'll meet the survivors. One day we'll meet the survivors of love. One day we'll meet the survivors. One day we'll meet the survivors of love. Olivia, Olivia, oh. Olivia, Olivia, oh. Olivia, Olivia, oh. Olivia, Olivia, oh. Come and get me.